Hey guys, Matty here from Exponential Performance Coaching, back at you with another Whiteboard Wednesday. Now today we're talking about DOMS, Delayed Onset Muscle Soreness. Now if you've ever run down a hill, you've done a big tramp and you've had to go up and down big hills, or you've done a heavy resistance training session, this will be a subject that's very near and dear to you. This is that feeling you get when you get out of bed in the morning and you can't walk properly because your legs are so sore, or your back is just destroyed, or you can't bend your arms because you've been doing so many bicep curls. Whatever it is, your muscles are extremely sore, and it usually kicks in about 24 hours after the said activity. Now, a lot of people are confused about delayed onset muscle soreness. A lot of people think that it is caused by lactic acid still in the muscle. Now, lactic acid or lactate is cleared out of the muscle usually within about 10 to 15 minutes after exercise, especially if it was a really big session. You'll have no lactate or lactic acid still left in the muscle, anything above resting. So there's a little bit of a myth. Now, what delayed onset muscle soreness is caused by is micro damage to the muscle. So if you can think that this is your muscle, imagine it's your quadricep. When you're running downhill especially, there's a lot of loading happening through the muscle in what we call the eccentric contraction. The eccentric phase of motion. And this is loading through the muscle as it's lengthening. So if you can imagine this is your quad and you're running downhill, it gets all these little micro tears in the muscle. Now these aren't big tears, it's not like tearing a muscle or busting your ankle. These here are just micro damage to the muscle. And if you think about, we look at this and we zoom in a little bit, in your muscle fibers there are also nerves, and the nerves can be running to the fibers this way, or they can be running through the fibers. And what happens is when we get these little micro tears in the muscle, there's a sequence of events that are stimulated to send inflammation or inflammatory fluid to the damaged area. Now inflammation is just, you can sort of think of it as just fluid, and it flows to areas that are damaged, and it brings with it all of the cells and all of the things that are required to repair any damage. Like if you bust an ankle, you'll see it swell up. That swelling's not a bad thing, it's the inflammatory fluid racing to the area to fix it. So what will happen is in your muscle that's been damaged, there's all this extra fluid around the muscle cells that are required to fix these micro tears. And you can imagine it swells. It swells and pushes on the nerves. And if you've got something pushing on a nerve, there's obviously going to be a pain response. That nerve's going to start firing. So what that pain and that stiffness that you feel is swollen muscle fibers pushing on nerves. It's not lactic acid, it's not whatever the other myths out there are, it's just inflammation. And this here, it just takes time for it to decrease. It needs to have the time to decrease, because if you work on getting rid of that inflammation too soon, you're still going to have these micro tears that haven't been healed properly. So while you may feel fresher, you may feel better, it doesn't actually mean that you are better. So give it some time. You can obviously do some easy activity to get that blood moving, and getting that blood moving will help with the lymphatic return, so taking this inflammation fluid and putting it back into your circulation. But the bottom line is time. So if you've got sore muscles, your body is trying to tell you something, give it some time to recover. Once you feel that you are 100% again, then get out there and give it some more depth. But time is the bottom line. So there you have it. Keep questions coming. We want to keep giving you the good information so you can train harder and smarter.